So, all right, well, we'll go ahead and get started then.
All right.
Let them take me as far as they want to go. And it's time for me to say they won't break me. I'm braver than I know. I was made for this. Oh, such a time as this.
Thank you for joining us. We are here today, and we have Aliyah Walker back with us.
Hi, everybody.
We are so excited for her to
We
be
love
our
her.
returning guest.
I love
We
you ladies
loved
too.
having you so much last time.
Oh
It
my
was
goodness.
just great.
It was a joy.
God, I could have listened to her all day long.
I know.
was like,
I know.
keep
Let's not
speaking.
stop. I know.
So thank you for coming back. We're
Thank you,
very
guys.
excited. And
Thank you.
when you were here last, you had touched on a bit of your passion and your love for helping people with, mental health and things like that. So
Yes.
that's why we asked you to come back for our special May series that we're doing. And just a reminder that we're doing a May series on mental health awareness all month. So
Important
make sure
topic.
to check out not only the podcasts, but we also have lots and lots of materials and lots of extra videos, support videos, encouragement, just helping you to deal with all of this,
Yes.
because pretty much all of us deal with it in some way.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Not me. I got my life all together.
Oh yeah. Oh wait. We're supposed,
the
to, we're
denial
supposed to be
stage.
honest here, Heidi. What are you
Denial
doing?
stage.
Oh, wait, that's how
Denial.
my
That's somewhere in
generation
there.
handled it. There's no problem. We're fine.
Brushing it right underneath
That's
the
what we
rug.
did.
But that's
it's all
true.
good. Deny.
It is
That's
a
what they
river in
say.
Egypt.
Yeah, you can call me Cleopatra. So
Well, I'm glad you brought up the generation thing, because that's
Yes.
actually what we're talking about today.
well, look
And
at that
so-
segue.
Right. Wasn't that good? I
Worked
planned-
all the way
This
in.
isn't our script. I didn't even realize it, but hold on. Check your script really quick.
Shoot, I said
All
that
right.
wrong. No,
Right. So today we're going to talk about millennials, which is your generation,
Yes.
and Gen Z, which we had our guest from last week. Thank you, Addison.
she was
She was part of
amazing.
Gen Z. And so we're going to talk about those two generations and
Yes.
the impacts that mental health has on those generations specifically. So
I can't wait.
I know.
Addison set the bar real high. That girl did so good
So-
representing her generation.
As I'm sitting here
So bring
thinking,
it.
like, oh my goodness, like it must be pressure. I'm older than her, and I'm like, I better bring it.
You will, no doubt. You
know
brought
you
it
will.
last time. Like, oh man, you were a
Yep.
pro.
And we fed off of
I'm
each other
sticking
very
to
well,
my
though.
clothes. I'm so sorry.
It's
Velcro in my sweater. I'm like,
I've transferred all of the things that keep happening in the podcast to Heidi. Like
I am a hot mess over here
I've
today.
given them all to you, love.
Okay, I'm just gonna keep my arm like this, and we won't.
Couple more days and you get to get rid of
Thursday
that.
surgery.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Yay.
we're
That's
making
good.
it. So
That's
it
good.
is good.
I'll be praying for you on that, though.
Thank
Yes.
you so much. I appreciate it. So I'm
Yep.
excited. I can't wait.
So let's talk about your generation. Let's talk about things that your friends, family, your circle, the people that you spend time with. What have you noticed that they deal with in terms of mental health?
A lot, well, from my experience, is definitely like depression and anxiety. And honestly, I read this book. My therapist actually recommended it to me, and it's called From Panic to Power.
I like the name.
by-
I
Did
think
you-
we should put that in the comments if anybody is interested.
We'll
I
link to
know
it.
from the title. It's a good title.
It
I
is
wanna-
a good title. And she
read the
said
book.
that she had one book that she constantly gave clients, and every client got something. Every single one got something out of it, and I got something out of it.
I love that.
It is basically what I got from it was that we inflicted on ourselves. We honestly inflicted.
Did you have
Ouch.
to come here and blame us? I mean, my fault.
She's not
No,
wrong.
no.
But I want it to be someone else's fault.
It's our
easier
own.
that way.
It is easier that way. But like, what type of ownership are we taking if we do blame it on somebody? And I had that realization to myself this weekend. It's just like I had to face myself. Like, what are you doing to make things better? But Depression and anxiety. Depression and anxiety is the high for all of us now, and workaholicism.
Yes.
That
I
will
probably said
fuel
that
it
wrong.
for sure.
Probably said that wrong, but imperfectionism, social media. We're back to this thing of social media and society. They're putting it out there as, oh, you got to do this, you got to be this, you got to do that, and it's driving us mad. But it's also our trauma, the trauma from our DNA that's traveled down to us.
Right.
I love TikTok. I'm gonna say this. Yes, I do love TikTok because I actually have my timeline filtered to where I'm watching positive things.
Yes.
Nice.
I do too. I mean, on all of my social media, I don't let the negative come in there because then it leaks. It leaks in there and it sneaks in there. So I love that,
like a
that you do
leech.
that same thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
I
So-
can't use TikTok because I'm a military mom.
Oh. Yeah.
You'll have to talk
Darn
more
it.
about that later.
I will. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
it's a real thing.
I mean, you could borrow mine if you want to.
Can I look at it? So yeah, we have it.
Scroll together.
Yeah, well, and we have a deployment coming up in a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well.
So I'll have to
okay.
look at everybody else's.
All right.
But I absolutely love to know that you can set it to just positivity.
Yeah, you can set your own aesthetic.
Love it.
It's the videos that you most likely are on the most, the ones you like the most, the ones that and it pops up on your For You page.
Yes.
Don't quote me on this. I don't know if I'm really all the way right, but I mean, it's just
You're
what
the
I'm
expert
seeing.
at the table
Yes.
right now. So
Well, I'm certainly not. I'm generation old. We did this.
I know how to make TikToks. I'm not great at all
I'll
the rest
probably
of
be
it.
on TikTok in 7 years, and everybody else will be on Knock Knock, and I'll be like,
I love it.
so, that's
What's
me.
a new thing out that's called Be Real now?
When did that happen? Because I've never heard of Be Real. I like the sound of it.
I heard it
unless
from a
it's-
customer, and then now I'm at Tupelo, and all the servers pretty much have it. And it's just like a social media page where you're literally taking a picture of what's happening right now.
Oh yeah, we actually one of my smiles, the mom, the daughter, and the grandmother came, and
Yes.
the daughter is at college right now, and so they have that back and forth, and so they can, the mom can see exactly where the daughter is. Like
Okay.
they're like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and
Yep.
she's like, I'm studying again or whatever, and the mom's like, I'm at work. Like,
Oh,
And they're
man.
only doing it so that way that they can look back and be like, oh, this is what I was doing at this time,
Yeah.
because I guess it's a real thing. But that's that's the important part. Are we really putting the real things on social media? And
like it doesn't have filters and stuff, right? You
No.
just send it as it is.
Yeah.
Like you take it and you're like, oh, there it is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I love that though.
I would be so good if filters could just we're going to go filter free for a week. Let's just go filter free.
Filter free.
Everybody will freak out.
Yep.
They're going to lose their mind. But then they'll be like, okay,
Yep.
the sun rose again.
Yep.
Nobody's laughing at me. Oh, I wish.
I saw a
wish.
really funny meme the other day, speaking of filters. And the guy, I don't know if his name is Machete or whatever, but he's the really great actor and he's got a lot of just life in his face or whatever, lots of lines, hard, just really great actor.
Maybe in his late 50s,
Yeah,
60s,
yeah.
and just very much looks like a character
Just
actor, but
kinda
so much.
right,
I
so
love,
much life on his face. Well,
Yes.
the one right underneath it was some of y'all's pictures are looking like this, and it was perfect baby smooth skin on his face. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'll see if I can find that and put it on because it's hilarious, but it's true.
It
I mean,
is.
it's so true. Everybody
I'm
tries
so
to erase
sorry,
their
but-
wrinkles and their smile lines and all of that. And I'm like, we don't all want to look like we just had Botox shoved into our
Right.
face. That
Exactly.
gives us the character. I love
Exactly.
to see people's
Oh,
smile lines because that
this
means that they have
is my
smiles.
smile,
Yes.
my
Yes.
laughter,
Yes.
and being out on the water in the sailboat, which I loved because my two youngest could do this with me, and we had beautiful times. And I'm in the sun, and we're laughing.
Yeah.
My face is.
I do that a
have
lot,
And
too.
you
wrinkles
think
and
of
whatnot.
that when you look at them, you think of all of the happiness and the wonderful times, and then we try to erase that. I don't know why.
They, because people are so stuck on everybody's opinion.
Yes.
It's it's not normalized to be an individual. This goes back to from our last episode.
Right.
All of this ties in together.
It does.
And it's just you gotta focus on the little pieces at a time, you know. But everybody's so focused on what is the next person saying about me? What does that person think about me? Because I honestly, how can I say this? I am a victim of that.
Right.
So
Right. I am.
I care about what other people think because my whole life I was teased. I was teased. So I accepted what those words were to me. And instead of replacing them and saying what I am or hearing it from somebody. So if the child is not expressing to the parent, or you don't get that chance to be able to express yourself as a kid, then you take that in all your life. And as you get an adult, and I feel like that's what happened to us. Our parents didn't listen. Some parents didn't have the time to listen. Some parents weren't in at home to listen. They had to be out there and work.
Right.
So a lot of what we face as millennials is because of the trauma of our parents just having to be what they were able to be.
Right.
Because, again, of that generational thing, the older generations, they were not open. They did not talk about, we just talked about that in another episode, that, you know, a lot of things were children were to be seen and not heard, so they didn't talk to them a lot. Their opinions were not valued, you know. And so the millennials, I think, are that first generation who are now raising another generation, but they're the first ones that are working to break that norm as parents, right? So most Gen Zers are not parents yet, you know, and they'll have their own time, but like millennial parenting is amazing to me. I mean, it really, really is. I even, because I'm not in that generation, but I feel like I have learned so much, and I used to scoff at it. I am going to be as real and open as on it as I can, because I'm like, oh, they're all going to be so soft and whatever, you know. I am just saying it how it is. But when I came to understand it more and see the value in the expressing of our feelings and to allow children to talk things out and to all of that, because I had to undo all the things with how I was raised. You know, you have to undo that. So it does take that next generation into the millennials to go, oh no, we're going to do things different. You know, this is how we're going to do it. This is how it should be done.
That grandson out there is a product of that type of parenting. And I have watched my daughter time after time after time get down on his level and talk with him about things like emotions, how we get through them, how we deal with it. And, you know, just today, she got a hold of me and just said, there's some guidelines with Levi. This is what we're dealing with, and I'm trying to teach him this. So as he gets older, life just is better, and he learns to be, you know, kind and to share and to be considerate of other people. And I so love how important it is to them to take that time to not just tell their kid what they have to do, but to talk with them about why we do that, why you want to make those choices. And I love this kid. He's absolutely amazing. There is nothing soft about him. This kid, if my hair wasn't already gray, it would be now, because he will run and jump off anything. He is fearless. He's fast. And I'm just like,
he's a boy too. You gotta remember that.
Oh yeah.
These boys are reckless.
Oh yes. Oh, I had a daughter that could keep up. And it's just like,
my niece is that way. She's 8, and I also feel like she's also missing, I believe, her 14th or 15th chromosome, and that causes behavioral issues. And like the symptoms of it is behavioral issues, over access eating, or and I guess she's accessible to pain. Like she could take pain, because she could get a mosquito bite or a scab or something, and she just pick at it. She'll just pick at it. And I'm just like, what, does that not hurt? I couldn't stand having, I couldn't stand having scabs on me or anything like that. I wouldn't even touch anything. I just constantly just, look at it. But besides the point, she was rough with her brothers. Her brothers were rough with her. They were 3 to 4 years older than her. And she just got rough being around them. And now
that was her norm.
and now she just pummels them. Now that they're teenagers, she just be pummeling them. I'm like, okay, that's how we gonna do this.
Yep.
But
I think one of the other things is too, I think of, because my husband and I are kind of at the tail end of Gen X, right? We were born in the 70s technically, but we grew up in the 80s.
Yes.
Okay. And I feel as though when millennials were born around that, year 2000-ish, things started to change really fast. Life started changing at a rate that we have not seen within one generation.
I am astounded.
You know,
when I think about when my oldest child graduated and what things were like in his world to my youngest who graduated a couple years ago and what things were like then. And now, even in that short amount of time, it has
changed all over again.
Yeah.
And what those grandkids now, and now that they're going in school, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and it's all technology
Yes,
driven.
it's technology driven.
Yep.
And this was planned. This was planned.
Yep.
It was literally planned for our behaviors to be altered by what we're watching or what we're putting in our mind. And so like you said, I grew up in the 90s.
Yep.
What type of music was around in the 90s? Not very good music.
Yeah.
80s was good.
I know all that stuff. So
Yeah.
So is what we listened to as we grew up. I felt like that affected us at a young age, but I feel like
Things that became acceptable within music,
Yeah.
But you
They
think
were
about like
pushing in the
50s and
80s.
60s
Oh,
was like, whoa. And then it was,
Elvis and his gyrating hips.
can you imagine?
Oh,
But then I'm thinking, as music has progressed, like there's no boundaries
Anything
now.
goes.
No limits.
Anything goes.
Like,
And even on the radio, I remember, there's a couple things that I've heard recently. I'm like, oh, that wouldn't have been
Also,
allowed,
I'm like,
when
oh,
I was
good. And
growing
then
up
I'm
or
like,
whatever.
are they saying what I think they're
Right.
saying for real?
Right.
And I think music, and maybe it's just for me, but music is a powerful thing in my life.
So
it is.
powerful.
And
Especially
it
for me,
feeds
too.
my heart, it feeds my soul, but at the same time, it could build a tension and an aggression in me just based on type of music. Advertising in our country is a perfect example of how much they know we are easily swayed by what we see and what we hear. And it's no longer we're making the decisions based on our own thoughts. We're being told what to think
Yes.
or what's the it thing.
Well,
or
like
what's
targeted
the-
advertising, they research your
brainwash.
entire life and they're like, you don't know you want this yet, but in 5 minutes you're going to want a kitchen
Y'all
knife
seen
or
Social
whatever.
Dilemma?
I know.
Have y'all
Yeah,
seen Social
people have
Dilemma?
heard me say celery salt, let's
don't
just
think
say.
I've
And all of a
seen that.
sudden I'll have celery
I'll
salt
have to look
ads
that one up.
flying through. I mean,
Watch that.
they're listening. I mean,
yeah.
they listen.
Me and my best friend always talk about that. Like, we were talking about On the Border. She always talk about her On the Border gift card she'll never get to use. She probably gonna kill me when she see this. But and on her phone, she's scrolling on Facebook. Next thing you know, she's seeing it On the Border ad. How often would you see?
Right. And they try to
Oh,
say,
they-
oh, no, we don't
I
do
know.
that.
But you can go in on Facebook and cancel out because they're watching everything you
Everything.
do outside of that app.
Yeah. Everything.
And Snapchat just added an AI that adds itself by itself to you. And I'm like, okay, I have Snapchat, but I don't use Snapchat. Anyways,
I think
my
I'm gonna
daughter
have to
was
get rid
all
of it.
kinds of upset about this because she said it didn't give me an option. It just added me. And then
Yeah.
it's at the top of
Yeah.
whatever that means. But it's at the top, right?
It's at the top of your little thread.
And she says, I don't talk to it. I won't respond to it. She says it creeped me, it totally
Yeah.
creeps me out.
I have thoughts on AI,
But they
and
don't
they're not
even,
good.
There's not even an option. And so now I'm like, oh, good. That's one more way of, just listening
Controlling.
to everything. And
AI is going to be dangerous.
Yes, it is. It's
So you-
already dangerous.
so you think about all of these things,
Yeah.
right?
Your generation.
And we wonder why. We don't wonder.
Do we really wonder
We don't
why?
really wonder why. Educated people don't wonder
Are we
why.
all going to wonder
but
for a minute?
I'm gonna wonder just for a minute. why levels of anxiety are the way they are, you know? And so I look at like Gen Z, for example, right? 9/11 happens, all the fallout from that happens, you know, and then all these different things with
was in
different
second
wars
grade
and
during
different
that time.
things. With what?
I was in second grade during that time.
Okay, right.
And we, if I could remember, sorry to,
No.
you know,
Intercede anytime.
when I grew up and around that, they did not do proper healing for us through that.
It's traumatic.
I had terror dreams
I can believe
about
it.
that, seeing that.
I know that I did.
constantly.
Because they showed it all the time.
You lived
Yes.
it,
You couldn't get
breathed
away
it.
from it. You just
like,
watched
why
it
would
over
you
and
have
over and
little
over
kids
and over
watching
and over.
a building, a plane
With
Right.
people
Going into-
With people
jumping.
jumping out of it. Right.
That
Why would you
was
have-
just,
why is you-
I mean,
why
it's
you having
still
us
my
watch
blood
this?
runs cold.
Like,
I was
just
holding my
thinking about this.
6-month-old baby. We were on our way to a 6-month checkup, and the world just came to an end. I mean, it just stopped for a moment.
Yeah.
It didn't come to an end, but it was just a profound moment. And I know that rattled and shook me. But that was just a very real, tangible thing. And there was just an unbelievable loss of life. And it was just horrific in
Yes.
every way, shape, and form.
Yes.
It just dawned on me as we were talking about Snapchat and this new feature. It's no wonder we have generations of people that are growing up now with all these fears, all these worries, all these anxieties. We have to be afraid of these things.
Yes.
Watching us, hearing us, listening to us. We're going to add the AI in, and now people are using it to call and say, I have your daughter. I need this much money. And they will have a recording of her daughter talking to her, and it's not real.
Right.
And then they get her instead.
It is just, and all they need is just a little snippet of video that your kid, which kids are doing all the time.
They
And
even
they
have-
can just, they need a few seconds of their voice and they can build a whole conversation.
or just one picture. I seen on the news, and trust me, I normally don't watch it, but it was just one particular. I feel like I catch it at the right time or when I need to catch it.
Yes. I totally agree.
You are basically signing your life over to that AI by allowing it to get a picture of you. So now they have a picture of you
I know.
locked in some type of computer form or whatever.
Yep.
And who knows? We see the movies. I honestly I honestly feel some of these movies really be speaking to us.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like you
Yes.
know, iRobot, I feel like they could just take a face and just put it on iRobot.
Well, they can though. The realism that they have attained in robotics is, I mean, it makes my skin crawl.
Yeah.
Because in the wrong hands, what could be unleashed and the damage, that's enough to put fear and anxiety in me.
Yeah.
You know, it's bad enough when you have humans that you're up against. You know, you can anticipate in that. But we have all this technology and artificial intelligence thrown into the mix. And if that's not going to affect a society, it's like, can we just like take back some of this stuff and pare it back down to more simplicity and real? And let's just stop at the real.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's not be artificial anything.
Yes.
Just some real, and stop following me around.
Yeah.
Well, think about your phones though, even with the anxiety of, it's like Pavlov's response, you know,
Yeah.
like we hear the ding and we're like, oh, and we like
Yes.
jump to like, oh, we have to answer this or we have
who's
to
that?
whatever, you know, because otherwise people are like, you left me on red, you must hate me, you know, all of these things. I didn't understand what that meant for a very long
It's
time.
a
and I'm like,
people
okay.
pleasing thing too. That's a people
it
pleasing
is,
thing.
and it is. And so if you think about just all of those things that we have to deal with, and I think so for millennials, they are now parenting children through this world. You know, so they're trying to navigate it themselves, but they're parenting children in this world, bringing new life into this world all of the time, into a world that's very uncertain.
Yes.
You know, into a
And-
world that has so many aspects of fear-based, fear-driven,
Yes.
all of this.
I worry for my grandkids.
And like you were saying,
The
it's,
way it's going.
written into the DNA at this point. You know, I think about like the boomer generation and the generations prior to that and how much slower life was.
It was.
And you actually made phone calls to people. And if they didn't answer, you left a message, or you
I
wrote
know.
a letter, or
Yes.
there was not the
Yes.
No.
speed at which we have to try to live our lives at
We
all
didn't
times.
panic if we got somewhere and we forgot this.
Yes.
We weren't in a panic
Yeah.
No,
because nobody had them.
Yep.
We, growing up, would walk out of our houses in the morning. You're hooking up with all your friends in the neighborhood and you're just running all over, having a great old time. And you come back in at dinner and people just kind of looking out for you. That was the kind of, that's what I did. Headed out to the woods and there wasn't
what are you laughing at?
all of this.
Generationally, hooking up is not what you wanted to say. Am I right?
We're just out hooking up everywhere
Everywhere.
with everyone.
I'll be saying that word too. So
Okay,
I'm
so-
old school. I use old school
Let
words
me
too.
clarify. We would gather as a group with our neighborhood children, friends, and do things
They
like
call it link.
skateboard and ride
I
our
don't even
bikes
think it's
and
that
make jumps.
anymore. I don't even think it's that anymore.
I don't know what any of the words are anymore.
Looking for the bikes, right? Like you ride around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
looking for
Yeah.
bikes.
That's where everybody was.
Yep.
Yes.
You know, I honestly feel like is Gen X or Gen Z?
Gen Z.
Gen Z. Okay, so I feel like Gen Z is facing such a huge mental health crisis because they're not outside no more.
No.
They're in the phone.
Right.
They're on the video game. They're watching the movie. Kids don't even. I know from this because my family did it. Kids don't even sit at the table with their family no more. They don't talk about what happened in their day no more because it's too many single parent homes. There's
Too many activities that they're going to.
It's
Yes.
just too
and
busy.
they want to go with their friends. They want to go do this or they're like you said. There is no slowdown.
So, but back to what you said, and I had never stopped to think of this before, but you are absolutely right. Our kids are indoors all the time.
Yes,
Indoors.
because it
Often
started
in
with
the
us.
basement.
Yeah.
One of the worst times of the year in Michigan is winter because there is no sun.
Yeah.
We need vitamin D.
Just gonna say
we
the vitamin
get
D.
that from the
Yes.
sun, and without it, it affects you
Yes.
profoundly. It's, I
Yes.
mean, so even on top of all of this, our kids or a whole generations of people are just growing up with just that simple deficiency.
Right.
Yes.
That in and of itself causes depression.
Yeah.
I mean, Addison developed a vitamin D deficiency when she was going through all of her pain and stuff because she couldn't be outside and be as
Yes.
active as she was. And she ended up having a severe vitamin D deficiency,
Wow.
which then only compounded her symptoms and made it even worse, her tiredness and, the very, very lethargic.
So what happens? Mom's like, we're going to go to the doctor. My daughter's been really depressed. Okay, we're going to give her a prescription for an antidepressant. Maybe some time outside should be prescribed more
Yes.
often.
So I was reading something earlier, and I have
And I'm
these
not
here,
saying
right here, just in case I forget.
prescriptions are wrong. So
No,
I just want to
Right.
clarify that. But
there is a place for it,
It's
but that's not
absolutely is.
the only answer.
Yeah,
Right.
That's
it's
not.
I agree.
So they were
completely.
saying that the top three most influential factors in maybe Gen Z and also millennials is proper nutrition, right? So eating healthy food that's
Yes.
full
Taco
of
Bell.
no, I'm saying real food. Like eating real
Real
food
whole
is
food.
huge.
It
so
is
proper
real.
nutrition.
That
Anything
is
that
the
comes in a
number one
bag
thing.
out
Yes.
of a window that
Yes.
slides
Number one
open
thing.
is
Yes.
I don't
and
eat it.
and the other one is getting proper sleep. And it didn't say you have to have X number of hours of sleep. I mean,
No,
it
it's
recommended
just-
it, right?
Right.
But it said quality sleep over quantity sleep.
Absolutely.
Which a lot of times, the whole being inside all day and you're on your electronics, your mind has a hard time winding down from that. And a
Oh,
lot of
man,
these
yes.
kids go to sleep with the TV on and things like that. And then you can't develop that proper REM cycle.
right.
And then piggybacking on what you said, the third most influential thing is exercise, movement,
Yes.
moving your body, which creates endorphins,
remarkable.
which,
It
you know what I'm
feels
saying?
good.
Yes.
It
all-
feels good.
I'm
So if
getting
we think of
antsy.
those things, just those three things, they don't really cost any money.
No.
I mean, obviously, food costs money.
They're
you know,
fun to do with friends.
But you have to eat anyways, and so you might
Yes.
as well fill your body with good, healthy food.
Yes.
And I'd love for you to talk more about
Quality
that.
Yes.
But and then just making sure that you're getting proper sleep.
Yes.
Now, this is recommended for Gen Z and millennials. So we're
Yes.
talking 39 down to 10. Okay.
Yes.
That's a wide range, and that's so important in those
is.
years. And so I'm thinking of millennials and how tired they are, because you had mentioned the overworking and all of that
Yes.
burnout.
Burnout.
They
is
are called
serious.
the burnout generation.
Yeah.
Millennials are the burnout generation.
I can
So,
understand.
I experienced a burnout
Tell
last
me.
week.
Yeah, tell me more
And
about that.
it comes in different ways.
It
It
does.
doesn't have to mean like, oh, tired burnout. It would affect you in your weakest part of your body.
Yes.
So I battle with the symptoms of endometriosis and PCOS. I can't say PCOS. I don't know what the full. I'm saying
You
abbreviation,
did
okay?
Yep.
well.
Yep.
But it is a painful condition.
It's
Yes,
awful.
it is.
I had that as well. So
And so that also was passed down. Thank you, Yaya. Thank
Yep.
you, Yaya. I love you. So, last week I had a flare up. I have it in my ovaries.
Okay.
So I had a surgery last year. I actually went in. How I found out about it is I went in because I was having severe pain during my cycles, and that is, I feel like it shouldn't be this bad.
Right.
Like, yes, my cycle, but I should not be having severe pain like this. So I finally took the initiative to go get looked at. Did an ultrasound. They found an cyst in my right ovary. And as I kept going to get checked up, it kept growing. So I had planned to get a surgery done for in July last year. And I had my cycle, and then bam, a flare up happened. Like, woo-wee. When I tell you it was painful, I would never wish it on my worst enemy. I really would not wish
I
it on
am
anyone.
so sorry to anybody going through that.
awful.
My
It's so
daughter has it
awful.
horrible, and I had to learn to be much more empathetic because I had no idea.
Yeah,
Just no idea.
It took me out. It literally took me out. So they did the surgery. I told her, if you have to take it out, take it out. As
Right.
in the ovary.
Yeah.
Take out the ovary.
Yep.
I don't care. I only need one.
Yeah.
Right.
I only need one.
Yep.
So she only took out part of it.
How do you take out part of an?
She just
that's the
lapped it
scientific
and
term. I
Part
don't
out.
even
She
understand.
took out part of the
Okay.
cyst. So
Oh.
part
Oh,
of
not
it is
part of the ovary.
Yeah,
Okay.
part of the cyst is still inside of my ovary.
Won't that just
So
grow again?
I don't know. I asked her what are the possibilities
Right.
of it growing again. She's like, well, if you take birth control, it's possibly you won't. I'm not about to. I'm almost reaching my 30s.
Right.
Why will you be recommending birth control and I'm about to be reaching my 30s?
Right.
I have not researched this, but I've heard from too many people that it is not healthy to be taking birth control in your 30s or after a certain period of time, because it's like at this point, like, what's the point?
Right. Right.
What is the point?
Yeah.
You're old enough now. I mean, you should be responsible to.
Thank you.
You think?
You know what
I
I'm
mean, there
saying?
are certainly alternatives. and
there is alternatives. Either be celibate or wrap it up.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I'm just, so she really couldn't tell me. She couldn't really tell me what was the percentage of if it was going to grow or stay the same. And my cycles got better. So I'm thinking, oh, it worked. Nothing's happening. Random day.
Oh.
But I was coming off of my cycle. So this was a day after, completely done. Just driving. All of a sudden, I'm feeling this little weird, the same area, same feeling. But it didn't come on as like severe.
Okay.
It took its time. It egged on, but it was just one of those,
Kind of
like,
achy.
yeah, I'm
yeah.
like, oh, I'm feeling it. And I was telling my best friend, I was like, girl, I'm having the same pain.
Yeah.
So as I'm driving, as the time goes, it's getting worse. And I'm just like, okay, I've reached my point. It's time to go to the hospital. So and they didn't find anything. They were saying it could have been like a hemorrhage cyst, but it didn't like burst or anything like that. It just, my body, it was time for me to sit my butt down.
Oh.
That's what it was. When they said it was just rest, and that's exactly what I felt like God was telling me. You need to rest, Aliyah. You need to rest. You're doing too much. I'm working 40 plus hours at my shop, working 30 hours a week at Tupelo Honey, then trying to stretch myself out to so many other things, and then I'm stressing about, why am I not moving forward in my business type thing. It's just like all things, just all this
Hold on.
crowdness on my.
I'll be back.
We'll
You're
see.
good.
all
so
this
sweet.
all this crowdness, like just in my head, and so it just, I feel like all of that stress just attacked that area. So it's super important to not overdo. Don't overdo it.
No.
If you've done enough in a day, just sit it down, and you got so much more to do tomorrow. We got so much more to do. It's so much more time.
But your body will tell you.
Your
body will be like, I've been trying to get a hold of you, and you were ignoring me, going, I'm good, I'm good. And then your body will be like, and sit. You know, you have to sit. You have to do this.
Yes. So when I was saying, like, I had to be real with myself and look in the mirror, I was making poor decisions. I'm being 100% transparent. When you make that choice, you gotta stick with the deal with the consequences. I was, going to hang out with my friends, not making the right decisions, staying out late, knowing I have to be up early in the morning.
Right.
And it's just those small little decisions that we make, it can make a huge difference for us, and oof, girl.
I had that the other night too. We've been very busy with a lot of things lately, and I had the opportunity to go hang out with some friends, but I hadn't slept the night before. I mean, I had slept for like 2.5 hours, and then I was awake most of the night, and then I slept like 1 more hour. And by 4:00, my body was just starting to completely shut down. And I had to make that decision and just say, no, I can't. I have to get a full night's sleep tonight, because if I just continue this cycle, because I hadn't slept a lot most of the week, and I'm like, I'm getting crabby, I'm getting, hangry all the time and all of this. And I'm like, okay, I have to and I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah.
Because I had a very busy week this week, and coming into this week, I wouldn't have done myself justice, or anybody else that needed me this week.
Yeah.
Had I been selfish and said, no, I'm just going to go out and hang out anyways.
Yes.
And
yes.
yeah, it just
we have to
wasn't
learn
worth
to
it.
be, we got to learn to stop being yes men and women.
Yes, I agree with that. You're like,
Time
"See
and
what I
place
did
for it,
there?"
yes. There's a time and place for it, right?
But you were saying earlier about boundaries. You have to set those boundaries.
And you
got to
set them for yourself too.
Yes, you have to.
It's crazy. Like, I'm learning. I was telling my therapist today, like, I'm learning so much about what is okay. I mean, because there's no bad. You know what I'm saying? But there's just like, there is limits, and you got to limit yourself too. Like, you got to learn to respect yourself, give yourself boundaries, love yourself. It's so
Right.
much self that you have to do first.
Right.
Before, we go seek everything from external factors.
But I think that's where the burnout comes in, like you were saying, and I feel like that's why, because millennials are that first generation that have much higher expectations to meet this and this and this and this. I mean, I remember in my generation, we would just like pack lunches, and we didn't think about who has this allergy and who has that allergy and who has all of these things. We didn't sign our kids up for preschool before they were born. We didn't do any of that. The pace of life was different. And so that's, I think, why millennials burn out so fast, is because they have to now think of, okay, so what snacks am I sending? Is anybody gluten-free? Is anybody nut allergy? Is all of these different things. And so you can't just send something simple as a birthday treat with your child to school, or hosting a party and then thinking, oh, what if, this kid can't have red dye number 42 or whatever. There are so many things
restrictions
to think about.
Yeah.
I can't.
It's like,
It just blows your
geez, I can't
mind.
accommodate everything.
Yeah.
It's just like, you can't please everybody.
You can't.
So, and I've faced that at my shop.
Oh, I'm sure.
I get so many people, oh, well, is it low sugar? Is it low carb? Is it this? Is it that? But it's like, yes, you still need those things.
Right.
But do you go to a McDonald's and ask, what's in those fries? What are you frying that with? Where is this bread coming from? Where is this meat coming from? You're not sitting there, chewing down their neck. Well, honestly, not, because you can't. Because it's so fast paced.
Right.
So you
They're like, next person, we don't have time for this conversation. You've come to McDonald's. You have certain expectations. You know what you're getting.
Right. So it's like, I have to understand I can't please everybody.
Right.
It's so many soy allergies, or it's so much, and it's just like, where did all this come from?
Exactly.
Like, okay, so
It
we
didn't used to be a thing.
evolve, but it's like all these symptoms and diseases evolve right along with us. Like,
I think it's because we're not eating
right.
whole food anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's such a
it's
big
not
part
grown
of it.
anymore.
It's not just everything is modified.
Yeah.
Everything.
Because nobody want to do the work to do it.
Nope. I totally agree.
There's no work ethic anymore. So with no work ethic and no good nutrition, everybody is just miserable and just getting big. And as we see, obesity is sky high now. That's another reason why mental health is
Absolutely.
is skyrocketed, because people are big and their brain is clouded, or they're unhealthy. Excuse me for
Absolutely.
saying big, because I'm big, but I'm healthy though.
Right. There's a difference. There's a total difference. Yes.
You can still be a heavyset person and be healthy.
Yes.
But don't get me wrong. Please work out. Please get your water in. Please take vitamins. Do all the right things for yourself, because then that's when you can clear all what's going on in here. You have time to focus more on, okay, what does my body need?
I think that's such an important point.
Yeah.
Because it's a distraction. When you've made certain choices in life and you have certain things that now you have to deal with because you've made those choices, it then does become a distraction.
Yes.
Instead of just eating foods because it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner time, it's so much more thought into it.
Yes.
And again, anything that pulls you away then becomes a distraction, then becomes an even bigger source of frustration and, again, meeting those expectations and then not meeting them and then getting the burnout. It's just a vicious cycle.
It's a huge, and that's all that it is. Everything is all cycles.
Yep.
It's a trauma cycle, just a trauma cycle, one after another. If it was not addressed,
Right.
if it's not addressed, it's going to keep happening.
It is going to keep happening. And I feel as though, and people probably aren't going to agree with me on this at all, but you can take two different people. They can go through the same type of traumatic experience.
I disagree.
Of course you would.
I didn't even get the words out. How do you know what I was going to say?
He knows
But you can take two. So let's take two people, people A, people B, and they go through the exact same traumatic experience. And one person continues to be a victim the rest of their lives and say, this happened to me. I am defined by this. I will forever be angry and upset about this. Or the other person that says, this happened to me, but I'm not defined by it. I am going to, that happened in my life, but it's not going to be my entire life.
Yes, that's the key.
And that is the key.
The key is, are you defining with it? That is the ultimate key. So I was telling my therapist again, a lot of what I would say is a lot of experience. So
That's good.
Which
That's
is
what
the best
we talk
part,
from
right?
experience too.
Okay.
We do.
So I was telling my therapist, I was like, wait, what did we say again? Where were we at? I lost it.
Oh, I was just saying that one person can, two people can go through the same exact thing.
Yep. Okay, I remember.
Tracking.
So
I have those moments all the time.
You just both made me feel a lot better about myself. So
Oh, wait, we're all human? Really?
it is an Alzheimer's. I thought for sure I'm losing my mind.
We'll make sure to edit this all out and so you sound totally perfect. Just kidding. I won't.
Oh my goodness. I'm like, we gotta portray the authenticity.
We do.
Yes.
We do.
Like yesterday, okay, this is just totally a rabbit trail. Yesterday, I had a customer, customer, and he was a barber, and I was like, oh, all I need is a tamper. He was like, what you say? I said, I'm like, ain't it a little side? He said, you mean a taper? I said, look, I'm a little dyslexic with my words, so
I make up my own.
Okay?
No,
He said, don't ever say that with nobody ever. Oh, I don't care if they don't like me. If they don't like me just because I say the wrong words, skip you.
If people don't like you because of
I'm
the
gonna
words
go
you
in and get a
speak,
tamper next time. I like it. Yeah, just tamper the back a little bit.
Just tamper it a little bit. Because, I mean, they say it's something you messing with. So you messing with my hair.
yep. That is really funny. Let me just tamper with your hair back here, Heidi.
Make it look good. But
I'll give you some layers while I'm at it.
so the old me would have taken that personally, but I'm learning. I'm reading the proper things.
Yes.
Do not take things personally. Another good book I'm gonna throw at you guys, The Four Agreements by Ron, or it might be Miguel something.
Those two names are very close.
I can understand all the same letters. You again are making me feel like I'm going to be okay. So
We'll have a link to that book too.
Just know when you type in The Four Agreements, that is the only book that's gonna pop up, and it's only
adore
one
you.
author.
It's written by Ron Miguel Smith.
yes, he
Don
goes,
Ruiz Miguel or something like that.
Albert, something. So Bob.
Billy Bob.
So tell us about that book.
Okay, so that book talks about how we accepted demographics or domestications as kids, but it's just all from what we've learned, from what our parents have learned, and from what they've learned. And it's like we can't take anything personally. We can't assume things. All we could do is our best, and we have to be impeccable with our word. Those are the four agreements. So all of us are messed up, like from jump, because the person who's raising us is messed up.
We're all just broken people.
We are.
Raising broken people.
I know.
Broken people raising broken
Yep.
people. So in that book, I've learned that don't take anything personally. So I didn't take that personally with him. But back to what I was saying with my therapist, I allowed myself to be a victim, be defined by the one thing that happened to me last week. And so my whole week just tanked. And then by the end of the week, I had like a little therapy session with a friend of mine. She was just like, we have to stop thinking anything that we do is going to be easy. We have to learn that what you are doing is going to be hard, no matter what it is. So it's like, you have to make that decision. Right. Do you want it to be hard this way, or do you want it to be hard that way?
I love that. Like, being skinny is hard. Being fat is hard.
Yes.
You know, all of those. If you think about it, it's just choose
which
your
way
hard.
you want to go.
You know,
So,
Choose your hard.
Being organized is hard. Being disorganized is hard.
Yeah.
it is.
It's just choose your hard.
I know that too well.
Yeah.
So, and what I'm learning to decide is, do I want to hurt from regret, or do I want to hurt and grow?
Ooh.
And I definitely want to hurt and grow.
Yep.
Yes.
And it's just like pushing past that thing. It's just pushing past that thing. I just have to reprogram my mind. I have to reprogram my mind, reprogram the subconscious. Your conscious, you don't have to reprogram, because that's just instant.
Right.
And I've just learned this.
Isn't it fascinating?
Yeah.
I took so many
amazing.
psychology classes. I loved them.
Fascinated by the field of psychology. Oh
And
man.
I didn't think that I would take such a liking into it, but it's like, it's all coming through listening to podcasts, listening to books, audios, or reading books. And I'm very grateful for tapping into my weight loss journey, because I was able to tap into personal development. And this is what I want to be able to if I didn't know anything about personal development, I would have never known how to really reach people in a way of how to cope or how to just be. And I'm just grateful to God because this is what I pray for. I pray for something to help me change my life.
Right. Yep.
And it all wrapped up in just one big umbrella because it all is tied together.
It's all tied.
Health, your fitness, what you eat, and what you think all ties in together. So
It's so important.
it is. It really is important. And millionaires, well, should I say happy and joyful and fulfilled billionaires?
Right.
Because there's some out there who are still unfulfilled.
Absolutely.
Right.
It'll never be enough.
Right.
It would never be enough
Because they think that it will be found in that. And it isn't.
no.
It isn't. You can be unhappy and people can throw all the money in the world at you. And if you haven't figured out why you're unhappy, that money isn't going to make anything
better.
You know, it might get you some stuff that feels good or, oh, that's great, or I can go here. But at the end of the day, you still get to sit with yourself and feel those feelings.
Right. So I find you can examine it this way. If you're struggling, say, financially,
Yes.
right? And you blame the struggle of the finance and say, this is why I'm upset, right? And then you get money, you know, for whatever reason. You
Right.
work or somebody gives you money. And then you still feel like that. Then you need to go back and examine and say, okay, what was really behind
the
that?
root of it.
What was that? Because obviously it wasn't money. And then figure that out. You know,
Right.
go back and say, okay, that wasn't it. You know, or is it loneliness? Well, okay, now if you're with somebody and you still feel that way, again, go back and examine what is that?
It all
Because
starts-
it's something inside of
Yeah.
you. It has nothing to do with anybody else. Nobody else can fill it.
Yep.
No thing can fill it. It has to come from inside of
Yes.
you.
Yes.
You have to find the
And
root.
going back to what you
Got to.
said right at the beginning, it's what are we going to do about it? Taking ownership and saying, what are we going to do about it is so hard.
I
is
know.
so hard.
It is hard.
But it
know.
has
It's
to
necessary.
start with you.
I love that they're talking that way. I love it that it's back to self.
Yes.
You
Yes.
need to make that choice and that decision. Do you want to stay here? You can.
Yeah.
If that's really what you want. I hear you saying you don't like it here. If you don't change something, this will never change. I don't care what anybody outside of you can be doing. I don't know what, nothing that could come into your life will change anything if you're just sitting here hanging on
Yes.
to this, what becomes very comfortable. And I'm saying that because that was me.
Yeah, that's
Right.
me
I
too.
was
Me too.
comfortable in my misery. It
Yes.
was like a warm, snuggly blanket. I knew what to do with it. I knew exactly what it felt like. There were no surprises in it. Everything sucks. Okay. All right. I'm just going to sit here.
Yes.
And it just colored everything. It's like putting on that pair of depression glasses is what I called it, because it then colored my entire world. And it made those little joyful moments invisible.
Yeah.
And it's just so profoundly sad. And for me, and again, I'm not saying this to say it's easy because it took me decades. I had to sit with myself deliberately and write down, who are you and what do you want to be remembered for? And I
that's
needed
so
to
profound.
answer those honestly. And it made me realize I had to choose joy.
Yes.
I had to wake up and choose to find joy. I had to look for it in the
My
tiny
tattoo
little
says
things.
choose joy.
Yes. Yeah. In it, I have more people that will push back on me on that. It's like, oh, you can't choose. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
It's not easy.
It is
Yeah.
not easy.
It
And
is
that is the
everybody
biggest
you
thing.
can.
Though every day is not going to be like a happy day,
Right.
but you still have to choose the joy within it. Like,
Yes.
yes, you could. Yes,
There will be moments.
Yeah, sit with them. That's what we're afraid to do.
Right.
Because they don't think it's normal to sit with the voice inside their head. They'll listen. They listen to it, but
Right.
it's like when you're by yourself,
Yes.
it's because I've been afraid. I've been afraid to literally listen to what I'm saying to myself.
Yes.
You don't want to sit with who you are. And if you don't like who you are, change it.
Right.
Because what you don't like in the next person is because of what you don't like in yourself.
Right. But are you not liking it for the right reason? It sometimes can become complicated.
Because you got to take the comparison out of there.
Right.
Yeah.
Take all of that out. It can't be in comparison to this person or this other, whatever it may be.
Right.
It has to be in comparison to yourself.
Right.
You have to look in the mirror and say,
It's so
is this who I want
complicated
to
to be healthy and well.
Right. And I mean, going back, saying that it's up to us, it is. It is up to us. But I don't want to discount something because I think people will hear this and they'll go, oh, okay, well, that's right for you to say, but I really can't do anything about this. You know, there are
ways.
Mental illness is real.
It is.
Depression, clinical depression, all of these things, chemical imbalances in our brains are real.
Very real.
And valid. And
Yes.
they are not making it up. The worst thing
There
you
is
can
no shame in
possibly
it. It
think or
should
say
not
is
be.
that somebody's faking it, you know? So I can see somebody sitting there, because I've been that person, so I'll just speak from experience, sitting there thinking, well, I don't want to be this way. I don't want to feel this way, but I don't know how to get out of this. I don't know how. So yes, it's up to us. But do we have the strength to do it by ourselves?
No.
No. And that's why we're not designed to live alone. We're not, I mean, not alone, but you know what I'm saying? Like life is not designed to just do everything yourself because nobody's asking you to be strong enough to do everything on your own.
We weren't built that way. We were built to be community. The decision to make the change is you. You
That's
have
step
to
number
make
one.
that.
That's that first
But
step.
you need a community
around you.
I have paired out anybody that was in my circle that wasn't rowing in the same direction. And if it's somebody that's choosing to sit on the side of the road and boo-hoo, everything's awful, this just sucks, and it's the same thing. And for a season, I will sit with you through that. But if you don't ever show any interest at all in ever moving beyond that, I had to, for my sake, say, I have to keep going. I hated it because I'm somebody that loves people. I mean, like, I want to help everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
But going back to, it has to come from that person. Nobody you can't like will somebody else to break out of their addiction or to break out of their mental illness or to break out of any of that. You can't. It has to start
With them.
with that decision and saying enough.
Yes.
And are you going to slide back into that? Oh, yeah. You're going to slide back into it over. And so you might have to decide every day, multiple times during the day.
And
That's what it is.
This is what I, you know, and so it's not just I'm going to get better. Oh, and then everything just gets better, right?
look at
No,
that.
not at all.
Oh, Sarah, let me tell you this amazing technique.
Yeah.
I just said, I'm fine now.
It's just super
And look
easy.
at me, I'm so good.
So easy. It's amazing.
Oh, I wish everybody
I'm
could
so
be just like
perfect.
me.
I know.
I got it right the first time. This is so good.
But you know what? I go right back to therapy. So that is one thing I definitely live by. It's been a year for me now, and it gives me chills, and I'm so freaking grateful that I went through
I love that.
therapy. So we talked about how I forgot where I was
It's okay.
going
It'll come
again.
back. It'll come back. It's a cycle. It'll come back.
I love that therapy and counseling and mentoring, seeking people to be that in your life is becoming accepted and norm.
It's normalizing.
It
Yeah.
wasn't when I was growing up.
Right. And we have
People that saw a therapist was like, ugh.
Oh my gosh. They're
It
in
was
therapy.
such a black cloud over you and was such a negative and a shameful thing. It's no different than any other illness I need to see my doctor for. I need some help with something. So whether it's a therapist, a counselor, a mentor, you need to build your tribe of people. And that will often include people that professionally are there to assist you and guide you in your goal to living your very best
Correct.
life.
Right.
But it's not just for people who are sick.
Exactly.
Right.
No,
right.
quite
I
often
agree.
it's
No.
for people that are
I would
Right.
recommend
Healthy.
everybody.
Yeah.
and they're healthy
Everybody.
because of that.
I maintenance my car.
Right. It is maintenance, and that's what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
is
I
true.
think everybody should routinely make sure and take inventory and address their
What's
mental
wrong?
and emotional wellness.
Yes.
That matters. And it affects your entire life. Why wouldn't it? It affects your health. So it's like preventative medicine to
Right.
me.
It is.
Right. And therapy is not meant for us to be fixed. It's just meant for us
No.
to heal.
Yeah.
It's helping us
Yes.
heal,
Yeah.
learn how to get through it better, or
Yes.
because it's not going to ever be fixed.
No.
No.
You're going to be traumatized. It's
Yeah.
going to be trauma there. Like I still have nightmares of when I had to watch my mom be the way she was, a freaking potato. You know what I'm saying? But I have to channel that. I have to erase that and replace it with a happy time. So that is that's what we're trying to get to, is to get people to understand that it's going to be there,
Yes.
but you have to want to switch it to something positive.
Right.
Is
Turn it around.
Turn it around. Yeah, it's still gonna be a sad moment, but you have to turn it around some way, somehow,
Yeah.
because it's not gonna ever be healed if you always focus on it.
Yeah.
I was about to say fix, but it's never gonna be
No,
fixed.
it's always maintenance. I always called going to see my therapist or my counselor. I always said, I have to weed my garden.
Yeah, I was
I had
going to
to
bring
weed
that up
my
when you and I
garden.
first talked, because I had just weeded that day.
Yes.
And it was wonderful. It was like during that 80-degree week or whatever.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the roots that I was pulling out of these weeds were absurd, right? And then you'd get to like the plant and you're like, oops, because it like
I know.
easily pops out of the ground. And
Oh, yeah.
it was so profound. I'm sitting there like thinking this whole thing through about
Yeah.
how weeds pop up overnight.
Yep.
And you can never see the full extent of how far they go,
how
because
deep
the
they're
roots are
rooted.
so deep. And then, but the plants themselves, the healthy, beautiful plants, take a lot longer to come up through the ground, and they have such a beautiful presence
Yes.
when they get there. But they can also more easily be taken out of the ground,
The
because you
weeds
can see
grow
when something's real, you can
into
see
and
all the way
around
around
them.
it.
Yeah.
And when something is fake and bad and evil,
right
you
through it.
can't. Yeah. I mean, it's it's crazy.
It is crazy.
So we actually have to wrap up.
Yeah. Oh, we do?
I know.
Can
I
she
just,
come back, Mom,
Yes,
please? Can she come back?
I
wanna
love
play
our
with- I wanna
discussions with
play
you.
with
It's
her
so
again.
good. It's so good. It really is.
Yes.
But I
love to
think-
hear.
Can we be friends?
Yes. Yes, we are friends.
You can come play
Yes.
in my sandbox anytime.
Okay.
Oh my
I
gosh,
will
we have
enjoy
adult
it.
sandboxes with adult beverages in our brains. We don't actually have these. Like we would really like
We
to,
need
but
to
I
make
just
that
pictured
happen.
adult juice boxes and
Yeah.
I
things
just
like
pictures
that.
myself in
It'd be so
a
much fun.
sandbox.
I would
Yeah.
totally build a sandcastle with you.
Yes.
We're doing rivers, valleys.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Women need to play again.
Yes.
Yes.
Play and have fun.
Yeah.
People in general need to play.
I think
and
we
have
gotta
fun.
take
and
this-
actually,
Yeah.
I don't even know how you keep doing this, but like your segues are like so good.
Thank
so
you.
our guest next week is actually a play therapist, and I love that you were so. I'm like, Heidi, are you in my brain right now? But we're gonna talk about play and how. Like how great that is, and how that's just a form of therapy. And I always feel like when I play with little kids,
Body is moving.
I feel so good afterwards.
and
You know, I'm
active.
just
Me
down there
too.
like zooming the cars, and we're
know.
playing doing all
Right.
that.
The
And I love
imagination
that.
and the creating and the joy in a simple thing.
Yeah.
I just sitting there playing games with him. We were going through this fun little, multiplication little book, and he's just zipping through and doing this stuff, or doing an obstacle course. I mean, we love building obstacle courses, and adults need to play again.
Yeah.
Adults need to play.
We forgot how we didn't forget.
It needs to
We
become
often
normalized.
Forget to make it a habit
Yes.
Yep.
to have fun.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Because we're always trying to
Be serious.
keep up with the.
That's why
meet
I
the-
hang with
what-
this girl.
Why is it we can't
because
put words to it? Because we
Right.
don't
It's
even know
fun.
what it is, right?
Keep up with the blue collar though.
Yeah, I don't even know.
They
I don't
always
know.
serious.
I don't know. So
Yeah.
even though we've had a lot of fun and we've laughed, this has been a very serious topic.
Yes.
And we're going to have tons of resources for you and lots of links that you can click on. We're going to make sure to reference the books that you
Yes,
talked about.
yes.
and anything else that we can supply. I mean, we're not professionals. Sorry, this is just this is us. I'm not sorry.
okay.
I'm not sorry. We're not
I
professionals.
thought this got me a degree. Okay.
No, we're not. But we are three people who have lived this that we're talking about, and so that does give
Different
us
stages,
some
too.
clout. You know,
Different
We
stages
have-
of life.
we just tell.
We've got
life
3
as
stages
it
here,
is.
and I can tell you, the struggles were always there. I might say this: we didn't have this when I was growing up. We did, but we couldn't address it or talk about it openly. It got covered up, and you pretended. So maybe mom, who is staying at home, is just hitting her bottle of wine, or you just didn't know because you couldn't talk about it. It was taboo.
Right.
It was taboo. And I was joyful when it became more open and more talked about. And now it's become the norm to talk about therapy as a positive thing. And it is. It's so positive. So the reason I'm saying this is for the older people that are listening, my age group and older, I'm going to challenge you to change your mindset on getting help.
Yep.
I had to do that, and I know that it was difficult, but I'm going to ask you to challenge yourself and just do it and start talking about it. I can promise you, everybody you talk to is going to say the same thing. I felt the same way, and I had nowhere to go.
My grandmother's 77,
And it's never too
she's
late.
been in therapy ever since my uncle passed away. And that was almost 30, 40 something years ago.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Life can, profoundly affect you, and people are there to help with that. And get your good people around you. Someone like this one and this one.
Yeah.
So.
And one last thought. It's all about making the world better for the generations that come after ours.
Yes.
And I think one way that we can do that is learning about these generations. If you don't know what Gen Z is up to, if you don't know what millennials are up to, find out. Find out what they deal with, what their struggles are, find out what makes them happy. Find out what's different about the different generations.
Yeah.
To me, I find it completely fascinating. I love to study it. But I'm challenging those that might be in my generation or an older generation to, like Heidi over here. No, just kidding.
I am so glad that you
We're
are.
what, 9 years apart?
I am so glad that you're getting to this. So,
Does he want to come and say hi to you? Because we're good. Well, thank you so much for watching.
Yes.
And we just look forward to having you come back for next time.
oh, please come back.
Yay.
Bye.